This is me pointing out to you the new switch which I was going to put outside the guest room door, because the existing switch, which you can see there in that photograph, was put there before I built the corridor wall, and it's a bit inconvenient for guests using the guest room to have to grope around to find that switch, which is rather a long time away. Behind me you can see the two socket boxes which now hold the thermostats for the ground floor heating. The main difference here is that you can see the left-hand wall has now been covered with lining paper, and on the right you can see the switches have been fitted, temporary switches and a bit of cable where there will be a switch, and I didn't do any more than that until I'd finished decorating. I didn't want to get paint on new switches, nor make it unnecessarily complicated to paint. On the left you can see the socket boxes for the thermostats. You can't see them, but they are still there underneath this drum-type lining paper. And of course underneath the lining paper is also the evidence of the history of the wall, the original green wall, still the unevenness. There was a rectangle of fresh plaster, which I think is contemporary with 1920, the 1920 extension. That line of the gas pipe which went up there, the lead gas pipe, along here, and actually just see it in the undulations on the paper. There was a long batten fixed, which might have been for utensils. There are other evidence, 1920s picture rail up there and so on. But to see that properly, you have to short sleep last night and early start. And I'm now ready to ziz. And of course there's all the other bits, like there's the old 1920s fuse box and all of the plastering. But I'm looking. Yes, I'm good. I mean, I will reinstate that one, but not wired, of course. But I'll keep it up there. But it needs to be firstly centered on the door frame, even though it wasn't originally. And I want to put behind it a fitting so that I could, if I could, without too much difficulty in the future, put an angled wall lamp there instead of a hanging light here.
Okay.
But it's going to be for but not with, and it'll be hidden behind the fuse box.
Mm.
Yeah. And of course that's one of the reasons why I'm going to be papering this instead of painting it, instead of painting straight onto the wall, is to keep the print and the archaeology. Have you noticed that there's the line, I think down here is the line of a gas pipe. This would have been a cupboard, and that's the line of a gas pipe which would have come down here, and that would have been where there was been one of these sort of hooky nails that drives just to hold the pipe in place. So there's all sorts of interesting archaeology on this wall itself.
Yes.
And I don't know why that bit is cut out like that. This whole bit looks as though it's been made. In fact, I think this fireplace, this chimney breast, is so much deeper than any of the other chimney breasts in the house that I suspect it was built out after in 1920 when this was turned into a reception hall. They increased the depth of this, and maybe so they did a lot of work up here. It's interesting.
It is. It really is.
You know, I don't. And of course, you know that that's the original. That around those three sides of the hall here is the original 1920s architrave.
These parts.
These parts around the three sides, which went around the rest of the room, and I had that reproduced. When I put this stud wall in, I had that piece of architrave reproduced. It's not architrave, of course, it's cornice. Taken from roughly the same position, This is the partition wall with just the stud framework completed as it was in the middle of 1986. The plasterboard you can see on the left there all lined up ready to attach to it.
Can't remember seeing these before. Yes, I remember this when Dad was building the room downstairs, and it was going to be your bedroom, and you wrote this little note on the plasterboard, I think it was.
Plasterboard went on the other side first, and then in order to cut down the sound transmission so that people walking through here or talking through here or people talking inside can't be overheard, this wall has been filled with egg boxes glued to the plasterboard on the other side, and you were about that high then, and so I got you to do all the gluing that you could, and I think you would quite enjoy doing that. As I have done with other stud walls in the house, I wanted some sort of record of what was done, so I got you to write the note for posterity, which has been embedded in this wall between the two layers of plasterboard along with the egg boxes.
Tells you your age. You were 7 years and 3 months. My daddy helped me build this wall. Yeah, your spelling wasn't very good. My brother Christopher, who is 18, is sleeping on the right in the room over the cellar. My little brother Duncan sleeps on the top floor above my room. He's 2.5 years old. My mum and dad sleep in the room next to Duncan. I'm missing the arches.
So there we are.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, don't forget P. Powell picture.
Oh,
paper
yes.
hanger up there.
P. Powell. P.
Paper.
What is it? What's it? Oh,
P. Powell paper hanger, and it's March, but the year is hidden behind this wall. And
yeah. Which is your wall, isn't it?
yes, my wall. To record that message for future decorators and excavators and archaeologists, I've covered it with a small piece of lining paper, which will prevent it from being completely obliterated by paint.
Any other interesting lines on this particular wall that you remember?
Yeah, well, this of course is this chunk down here is when they put in the conduit to create the electric light in 1920. So most of this steel conduit, and you can see some of it here. You can see the evidence of it here. Is dates from the 1920 when they put in all of the modern, what was then modern wiring. There's evidence of lead wiring, lead covered cable, rubber covered cable, and which I think the rubber dates from the 50s, and the more modern stuff, of course, the plastic cabling, which I'm putting in, and I'm still putting in now. And of course over here is the switch which we did for the corridor light, which we decided we didn't need, but just in case it's needed in the future, I haven't filled it in. The wire is still, the disconnected wire is still behind it, but the paper covers the hole, and I'm just going to leave it like that, not break the paper for a while, although I guess that there'll come a time when somebody puts an elbow or I knock something through it, and then I'm going to do something with it. Maybe just a blanking plate over it. But let me clarify, are we doing this in present tense or?
In present tense, it hasn't been covered over yet.
It hasn't been Well, the other thing you've noted here, of course, is that although I've stripped the paintwork over the rest of the door frame, and I've left this piece with the height records for all of you three boys as you developed and grew in this house. The lowest one down here is Duncan in 1986, and Giles in 1985 there. I think it was 1986 before Duncan was sufficiently tall, little lad, to actually stand up straight against the thing. And of course up here, increasing density because we were all slowing down, and I've recorded Sue and I as well. Firstly as markers, so that you boys knew when you were going to overtake me, which was very important to you. And also to record Sue and my daily shifts as we shrunk during the day and as we've shrunk over the years. But that's going to be covered up. But I'll cover it with a thin piece of plywood, or probably plywood, and then paint over it, but so that it's preserved there underneath it.
Did you write this? This is your handwriting.
Yes, I did. That's just progress marks and measures and datums and so forth for fixing the associated with putting the data rail in.
And are you going to wallpaper over that or just paint it?
I'll just paint over that.